Hello everyone and welcome. We will be almost 250 people here today. I am Kenneth STÅLSETT, the CEO of Sør-Varanger Development. Sør-Varanger Development is owned 100% by the Municipality of Sør-Varanger. I'm proud to co-host this event together with DAG-KJETIL HANSEN, which you see here, in Bredbåndsfylket. I will be the moderator today. Together with me is Kristine Galskjøtt, who is responsible for the technical side of the event. I'm very pleased to see that we obviously have marketed our campaign towards submarines. I'm happy to see that most people have arrived to listen to subsea fiber cables. There is a small difference, but important. I was noted by this yesterday from a friend. I hope all of you will contribute to an informative and fruitful event. Christina has emailed you the program and information in advance. And if you miss something, please send me or Christina a notification. As the program shows, we have a highly competent speaker list from the project side with political anchoring as well as from the business sector. In the audience, we also have global participations, including ambassadors, business people, and politicians at all levels. Questions for the speakers can be raised through the Q&A. You will see it down on the screen. And we have left 5 to 10 minutes after each speaker for questions. If any of the speakers experience trouble finish earlier, we will continue with the program. You can use the breaks to adjust eventual time differences, but at 13:30 or 1:30, when Minister HARAKKA enters, you must be on time again. I'm very pleased to introduce the first speaker. MARIANNE HAUKLAND is a leading member of the Conservative Party and seats the Norwegian Parliament. Obviously, being a Parliament member means that Mrs. HAUKLAND has many obligations and tasks, and one of them is to meet and represent for the Norwegian Defence Minister Frank Bakke-Jensen in the Parliament. Even if MARIANNE has her office in Oslo, she is born and lives in Alta, Finnmark. This means that she is a true patriot of the North and the Arctic and is highly interested in the Arctic Connect project. I'm proud to welcome her and let her open the webinar. MARIANNE, the digital floor is yours.
Thank you, Kenneth. I am prepared to open this event. Thank you for the introduction, Kenneth. My name is MARIANNE and I'm a member of the Norwegian Parliament. I am, as Kenneth mentioned, also from the Arctic, living in Finnmark. I represent Høyre. This is the party of our Prime Minister, Erna Solberg. I am very glad that technology lets us have this meeting today. 250 participants from many different countries, meeting like magic online together. What used to be an expensive international conference now successfully can be held and hosted online. And this, I believe, can extend participation to many rather than the few. I'm very glad to be here talking to you from a meeting room in the Parliament building here in Oslo. Today, being online is important to businesses as water is important for all humanity. It is important to all of us to reach out with our ideas, our products, to connect with people, clients, customers, friends, and family. And our expectations to technology and innovation can only surpass by the imagination of those truly determined to expand technology into new aspects of human life. We, of course, expect to be able to stay connected from almost anywhere. This, of course, means that more and more dependent on connection as is infrastructure more important. Delay and downtime is not acceptable for technology to rely on. Like future connections like 5G that is now being rolled out in most of Norway by the telecom companies. More and more technology in the Arctic will also depend on better technology and better connections. And this, of course, brings us to the Arctic Link project. If I can get my presentations up here. It is my belief that we need to invest in infrastructure. We need to adapt our thinking to a green future in the Arctic. The development and importance of new and greener technology are driven by also political choices. We know the Arctic area as a region of peace and stability, cooperation between governments, and the cooperation is needed has been very important to maintain this stability. But this should not be taken for granted. I believe it's a result of political decisions and practical cooperation between the Arctic states. Respect for international law and regional cooperation are key to ensure peace and stability across the borders. We need joint solutions to regional challenges, and we need to continue our cooperation on issues of common interest of the North. The government of Norway will deliver a white paper on the North area that will arrive in November. And the Arctic is a key national priority for Norway. And we need a clear vision to ensure resilient societies in the North. To invest in new infrastructure will give opportunities to our region. 10% of Norway's population live in the Arctic. The people who live and work and raise their children in the Arctic deserve to live in modern, resilient societies. And the region will be seeking new business opportunities and job relating to international data connecting that could pass through the area, like the Arctic Connect. And a landing site for Arctic Connect in Finnmark will give great opportunity to the region for developing of new businesses. Finnmark has many good qualities that could further benefit as the establishing of data centers. We have cold climate, we have affordable, clean, renewable energy that will be beneficial to cut costs and CO2 emissions. The cold winter climate in the Arctic region means that the energy needed to cool down services are minimal to none. And infrastructure needed to ensure stability in the power supply in the region built by Statnett. The 420 kilovolt power line that are being built from Alta to Skaidi are planned to go further from Skaidi to Kirkenes. As you can see from this map, and there was my presentation, that I will try to get on this share screen. Be patient. The 220 kilovolt power line that is being built from Skaidi, from Alta to Skaidi, are planned to go further from Skaidi to Kirkenes. This map draws out a possible solution for the building of the new 400 kilovolt power line. And this is the picture that I borrowed from Statnett that is planning to build this power line. Norway also has many international companies with expertise in subsea technology and subsea construction. Technology created and maintained by the oil and gas sector can be relevant also for the building of subsea constructions in the Arctic. These companies have expertise in building constructions on the seabeds and rolling out subsea pipeline for transportation of oil and gas. That could also be important competence for building structures on the seabeds for other purposes. This is some example of the opportunities for businesses in the Arctic. Submarine cable can bring to Norway and to my region, Finnmark. As a politician in the Parliament, I will do my best to support this project the best way I can. Thank you all for listening to me.
Thank you, Marianne, and thank you for the kind words to the project.
Thank you.
The next speaker, ARI-JUSSI KNAAPILA, is the president and CEO of Cinia Ltd. Cinia is a Finnish data communications and information technology company providing a network and software service with the state of Finland as the majority shareholder. Cinia owns and operates about 15,000 kilometers of fiber networks in Northern Europe. The company's mission is to make the world smaller, which they truly do to the Arctic Connect project. Mr. KNAAPILA has over 30 years of experience in the ICT industry in international companies, with a career starting as a system engineer and developing through sales responsibilities to general management position. During the last 20 years, Mr. KNAAPILA has held a CEO position in several ICT companies in various development phases. Cinia has been the driving force behind this international project, whereas they early teamed up with the Russian megaphone in order to proceed and make this happen. It is with great expectations and honor that I open the digital scene to Mr. KNAAPILA.
Thank you, Kenneth. Good afternoon, honorable participants of this interesting webinar on my behalf as well. As Kenneth mentioned, my name is ARI-JUSSI KNAAPILA, and I'm representing a company called Cinia, as well as a company called Cinia Alliance. During the next few minutes, I will try to give you a short overview for the very basic trends in the global telecommunication industry. As Kenneth mentioned, I've been working in the ICT industry during my whole occupational career, which is close to 40 years, as you can see from the color of my hair. Past 25 years, I have been in several managerial positions in the telecommunication industry, starting from the era when internet was still a very young invention and the global and national telecommunication was dominated by fixed telephony services. Let me try to share my screen as well. Yeah, now it should be visible. Let us though step ahead some 25 years from the birth of internet, ending to the year 2018, and see how the global data is flowing between continents. The thickness of the line in the drawing is indicating the volume of the data from region to region. Due to various reasons, the world of data and telecommunication is quite America-centric. As we can see here, about 150 terabits of capacity was in 2018 between US and Europe, about 70 terabits between US and Asia, and only about 20 direct terabits between Europe and Asia. Let us hop 6 years in the development to the year 2024, which is still in front of us. Capacity in use in general is expected to grow with factor of 10 from 18 to 24. And being already close of the middle of the period, we can see that the prediction appears to be very correct. The present pandemic probably even accelerating the development. But still the same America-centric structure appears to retain. During the past 20 years, and even in accelerated pace during past 10 years, the topology of the telecommunication network has changed very significantly. Cloud computing has been increasing. Mobile services has been bringing a lot of content into their internet, a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. Social media is actually putting us into online pretty much, unfortunately, actually the whole period when people are awake. And business applications following actually the same topological format. So all the terminals are basically connected to a data center serving these terminals and people behind. In about 12 years period from 2006 to 2018, the role of content providers or internet giants or OTTs, as we used to call them, has been growing dramatically. Content providers has become very strong buyers of capacity and specifically actually fiber infrastructure. The price erosion of layer 1, layer 2 backbone has been high. Traditional carriers have noticed to have quite little living space in providing content providers with the connectivity services. Majority of the traffic is from data center to data center or from data aggregation hubs to data centers. So the topology is very, very different, and actually the main customers of the network is very different. The customer base is very different as well. And the trend in the next 10 years is expected to continue or again even accelerate. OTTs or internet giants are increasingly the dominating customers or co-investors in all new submarine cable systems. Even if the traditional carrier traffic for business customers and for consumer customers as well in volume is growing, proportionally it is reducing very dramatically, as we can see from this diagram. The need of content providers, internet giants, is the main or only driver for any new submarine cable systems. The total number of submarine cables for telecommunication purposes is about 350 in use. The normal life expectancy of the submarine cable system is 25 to 40 years. In average, about 20 new cable systems are built annually. About 1/3 of them are long-haul submarine lines connecting continents, and about 2/3 are shorter distance cables connecting, for instance, an island to the mainland. Early in my presentation, I was showing the topology of the global telecom network being very America-centric. And the reason is quite simple and obvious. There is a lot of capacity over Atlantic Ocean and over Pacific Ocean, and therefore these routes are rather inexpensive. And very often, naturally, the main reason to select the route is the cost. Huge majority of content providers, present application factory owners, are based in US. Whether we are talking about consumer application factories like Facebook, Google, Instagram, Tinder, etc., or more business customer-oriented cloud application providers such as Salesforce, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Google, they all have their origin in US, even if they have started already years ago to spread their data centers around the world. What we, together with our alliance friends, have noticed is that something needs to be done to improve the redundancy and diversity of the global telecommunication network. Clearly, one elementary and extremely important route to connect continents is missing. The shortest route to connect continents goes close to poles. Arctic Connect project has started to prepare the construction of the completely new telecommunication route. The emphasis is on the world prepared. is on the word prepare. So we have started to prepare the construction. The construction has not yet started. The final decision to start the construction still requires the fulfillment of number of conditions. But the preparation project or development project, as we call it, is progressing in promising pace just now. It would be the first ever trans-Arctic telecommunication cable system. By using the Arctic route, you will not only create a new complementary redundancy increasing route, but you will also make a much shorter and therefore faster route between many, many important locations in the world. Cinia is a Finnish company created to its present form about 6 years ago in the beginning of 2015. The first task handed over to Cinia was to create first ever submarine cable connecting Finland directly to Central Europe over the Baltic Sea, or rather under the Baltic Sea. Cinia opened the Sea Lion 1 sea cable system for traffic in 2016. During the whole of its existence, Cinia has promoted the idea of the digital highway connecting Europe and Asia over Arctic Sea. Throughout, and finally, in summer 2019, Cinia signed the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the Russian teleoperator giant Megafon. Cinia collected partners from Norway, Japan, and Finland to Cinia Alliance. The project Arctic Connect was started in late 2019. In September 2020, so just a couple of months ago, the joint venture finally was established. More of the history, present, and future plan of the project will be presented by my colleague later today in this webinar. As an ending to my session, I would want to show a video greeting from one of our biggest promoters in Japan, Professor Jun Murai. He's a distinguished professor in Keio University, and he is often called as an godfather of internet in Japan. So please, Christine, if you can switch on the video.
With these inspiring words, I also have some questions from the audience to Mr. KNAAPILA.
Okay.
Ari, Cinia has very recent experienced this subsea cable installation and capacity sales in the cable system. Can you tell them more about the success for your Baltic Sea cable?
Yeah, thank you. Sea Lion 1, as we call this cable system, the implementation of this of that in the Baltic Sea was done in 2015, 2016, and I could say that it went very well. It was completed in the planned schedule in about 20 months from the request for proposal from vendors to the ready for service, so less than 2 years. And also we did it well within the budget frame. And we even increased the capacity of the system by some 30% during the implementation project, still within the original budget. And during the first 4 years of operation, the fiber per utilization is already on the level of 75%, and expected to reach 100% level in next 2 years, which is, I would say, a successful pace to start using a new telecommunication infrastructure. Naturally, there is still room for additional traffic in all of the fiber pairs, but I would say that this submarine system has been a good success.
Thank you. I have another question for you as well when we have you on the scene.
Thank you.
Based on the learning that you have from that project, what are the most important factors for the Arctic Connect to succeed? And you mentioned some conditions that needs to be solved. Can you elaborate a bit on that topic?
I'll try to do that shortly. I would say that in a commercial product or service, the customer acceptance is always the most important factor. So that is definitely something that we need to take a good care of. We need to build a service which is waking up interest for the widest possible market. So it needs to be not only suitable for one, but it needs to be actually something which is not disturbing basically anybody, so that it is definitely interesting for many customer segments. For that, it needs to be a safe investment for the customer. So we need to be able to create a credible maintenance structure. It's not only important that we can build it, but it's also important that we can assure all the customers that it's maintainable. Naturally, we also need to get the project approved by various governments. That's the cable itself is landing. It's planning to have landings in Norway and even in Finland, and on the Asian side in Asia, in Japan, and definitely also on the European side of Russia, as well as European side of Asian side of Russia. Naturally, we also need to get acceptance from the investors. I mean, investors investing equity into the project or giving some debt. So these are probably the most important success factors in any project, and particularly in this one.
I have actually received 2 questions from the audience as well, and I think it's worth asking them to you, ARI-JUSSI. How much faster and greener is the Arctic Connect compared to other routes?
It's a good question as well. So when we are talking about faster, it basically has kind of 2 dimensions. It is the bandwidth, but also the time that the signal takes from to travel from Europe to Asia, or from end to end. When we are talking about kind of a connection from Middle Europe, let's say Frankfurt, actually, which is one of the main hubs of Cinia's network in Europe as well. So from Frankfurt to the northern Asia, northern part of Asia, like Japan, Korea, and even China, their delay or round trip delay of the signal is about 30% less than their existing southern submarine route, and the bandwidth is, let's say, what we can bring in when the system hopefully will be running in 2023-24 timeframe. So that is, let's say, I would say generally about twice as much as we are seeing in any of the cables today.
Thank you. I will give one more question, and I think that's an important one. Have you shared this project with the Russian authorities and discussed it with them?
National.
With the Russian authorities.
Russian authorities, okay. Yeah, actually our partner Megaphone in the system is the one naturally who is contacting the Russian authorities and Russian audience generally, meaning also Russian customers. So yes, surely we have, and actually an evidence of the success of those discussions also is since we already had and received permits to do the seabeds survey during the past couple of months.
Thank you, ARI-JUSSI. We will proceed with the next speaker. Okay, the very next speaker is DAG-KJETIL Hansen. He is the co-host of this event and the CEO at Bredbåndsfylket from Tromsø. Bredbåndsfylket is a regional development company for infrastructure in the broadband sector, a network operator. Their backbone optical network is the backbone carrier of the local and national broadband companies and operators. Bredbåndsfylket is owned by the county of Tromsø and Finnmark. Bredbåndsfylket, together with Ishavskraft and Sør-Varanger Utvikling, have created a joint venture in order to invest and work with the Arctic Connect project from the Norwegian side. Mr. Hansen is the chairman of this company. Mr. Hansen has his background from the Norwegian Army as an officer and as an engineer. He has more than 20 years of experience in the telecom and ICT industry. It's a true pleasure to welcome and introduce Mr. DAG-KJETIL Hansen.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you. My name is DAG-KJETIL Hansen, and I'm the CEO of Bredbåndsfylket, as Kenneth said. Dear Minister, State Secretary, County Councillor, Mayors and colleagues, welcome to the Arctic Submarine Cable Conference. Yes. We have now heard a little bit about the global demand for data traffic and the submarine cable's impact on the global economy. Just a minute. Yes. I will have a more local or regional view on it and what we could expect from this project. The Arctic Connect cable system will have a deep impact on the Arctic society. For the digitalization in Arctic, development of the digital industry, sustainable development in the Arctic, renewable energy in the north, and of course the gateway between Europe and Asia and maybe US as well. Connectivity is crucial for today's society, for digitalization in our region, the communication, for the healthcare, education, remote work, and so on. People use of social media like Facebook, Snapchat, streaming, and so on. We are all dependent of the digital infrastructure. The businesses and the public are all dependent on the digital infrastructure, like the World Economic Forum says in the latest report. An estimated 70% of the new value created on the economy of the next decade will be based on the digital enabled platform business models. However, 47% of the world's population remain unconnected to the internet, and so also for some of the part of the Arctic as well is not connected yet. Bredbåndsfylket has over many years worked with the idea about the Arctic submarine cable, and also for many years together with Cinia. I am very happy for where we are today with this project. As you will hear more about the project later today, we are now in a development phase, even though we already have been around looking for perfect landing places for the cable. We have had some initial meetings with the municipalities here in Finnmark, with the mayors and administration, to inform them and to listening to them. Together with Ishavskraft and Sør-Varanger Utvikling, Bredbåndsfylket has established Bredbåndsfylket Arctic Link to co-invest in the Cinia Alliance and to contribute in the Arctic Connect project. We want to contribute and see the project idea develop into this cable system. When we succeed with this trans-Arctic subsea cable, a lot of opportunities will show. First of or we got a new route for data traffic. Okay. Sorry. Together with Islandslink, we have Sør-Varanger Utvikling. We have established this Bredbåndsfylket Arctic link. And when we succeed this trans-Arctic subsea cable, a lot of opportunities will show in the region. First of all, we got a new route for data traffic between Europe and Asia, as AJ said, and this region will become the new interconnect gateway between Europe and Asia. But we have to develop this hub. The opportunity which will come with the new data centers, the digital ecosystem surrounding these data centers, we have to build and develop. We will need electricians, industrial plumbers, technicians, and engineers for automation and cooling, for instance, in the data centers. But this will not happen just by themselves. But with local initiative, investments, and hard work supported from the local and regional and central government, we will make it. Jobs will be created, business will grow, and youngsters will have not to move away to get interesting jobs. They will have them here. And I hope that we today will give you a picture of what we can achieve here in our region. The Arctic Connect route to Asia will bring the new route with a lower latency between Europe and Asia. We will getting closer to the Asian market, which is a competitive advantage for us. This is a huge advantage for the Nordics as a data center region, and it will bring opportunities to invest in the global growing industry. We already have a solid fiber optical backbone. Our terrestrial network going south through Norway in 2 or 3 different routes, connecting university, cities, and data centers, and also to other subsea cables to Central Europe and over the Atlantic to US. And of course, to Finland over different interconnections here in the north. This terrestrial backbone will develop too. The demand for capacity and diverse routes and to and from the cable landing station will demand for more fiber, both local and to enterprises and businesses, and for the new backhaul routes as well. The demand of power will increase. We will have a lot of green energy here in the north. Let us use this great resource here where we produce it. It is more efficient to transport data than power. And this green energy with zero emission, that is most valued by the OTTs like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Alibaba, for instance. But of course, green energy has also an impact to the environment and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. With zero emission, data centers in the region will contribute to these goals too. To contribute to lower emission from the data centers, the OTT have to look to the Nordics, and they have and they will do. This picture is from a newspaper back from 2015 here in the north of Norway. An unknown IT giant was looking for plots. The big data centers bring a lot of investment. Here are some figures which IAH market did January 2020 from the Luleå. There are a lot of investment, buildings and equipment. The buildings, the report says that the investments of this 5 years from 2013 and to 2018, they have invested in buildings 367 million, and in hardware and equipment over 632 million. Others, like administration and lawyers, they have used 142 millions. When they started to operate the data centers in 2013, they have 85 employees. 5 years later, 5 years later, in the 2018, they had 343 employees. Before any data centers operator or the OTTs will build any big blocks, a lot of things have to be in place. There must be sites which is ready to build on, not next month, but today. These data centers will need a lot of employees, as I said, engineers, technicians in different positions. And this we have to prepare for, and I hope we will. Let me, in short, summary this in Norwegian before any question from you. Arctic Connect vil gi oss store muligheter for næringsutvikling i regionen. Fordi prosjektet og ringvirkningene så stor at vi vil få ringvirkninger langt utover bare der kabelen kommer i land. Det vil gi oss store investeringer, nye industriarbeidsplasser, kompetansearbeidsplasser og en vekst for næringslivet, både lokalt og regionalt. Og det miljøvern. Ved å bruke fornybar kraft som vi har her oppe og som produseres her i nord, med 0 CO2-utslipp, kan vi bidra til globalt miljøvern og mot klimaendringer. Når det sagt, så vil jo også Arctic Connect gi Norge som nasjon store konkurransefordeler. Spesielt innenfor datasenterindustrien, så vil også de datasentrene i sør få konkurransekraft over sine konkurrenter lenger sør i Sentral-Europa, og ved en kortere rute gjennom Arktis til Asia og markedet der. Tidligere regjeringer har åpnet Nordøstpassasjen for skipstrafikk. Nå må dagens regjering sørge for at den åpner den digitale ruta i Nordøstpassasjen. Dagens skipstrafikk ikke lenger lokale sjarker fra Finnmarka, men globale tankskip og rederi. For greia at når vi får en eller flere arktiske sjøfiberkabler som lander her i nord, så vil vi tiltrekke oss de globale aktørene. Og sånn vil det generere ringvirkninger for hele landet, men også ringvirkninger som da vil støtte opp under å realisere de målene som dagens regjering har for nordområdestrategien. Så avslutningsvis vil jeg bare si at Arctic Connect et stort og viktig prosjekt for oss her i nord, for Norge som nasjon og Norden som region. Så la oss sammen gjøre Arctic Connect til en virkelighet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DAG-KJETIL. I have one question for you. What do we need on a local level and from the Norwegian side in order to proceed, from your perspective?
Of course, as Marianne said, we need engagement from the government, but also we need initiatives from the local businesses. We need will to invest in people, in resources. We have to look at investment plans for the plots, sites to build data centers, and so on. So we have to prepare for this landing of this sea cable. It will be huge. It will demand a lot of effort from us. And of course, there are a lot of things to do.
Thank you. Then I guess a lot of the audience will contact you immediately, so keep your phone on and your ears open. Thank you, DAG-KJETIL, for your presentation, your talk. I will introduce the next speaker, Mr. TANELI VUORINEN, Senior Vice President of Cinia Ltd. Mr. VUORINEN has a long experience in various management team positions in telecom and service companies, with dedication to profitable growth through strong focus on market and customer needs, service-minded personnel, and operational experience, which is exactly what we need in the Arctic Connect project. Mr. VUORINEN was also the project owner of the Sea Lion 1 subsea cable project from 2015 to 2016, so he is a true expert. He's very valuable for this project, so it's with excitement that I give the digital floor to him. Please continue the dialogue, Mr. VUORINEN.
So good afternoon on my behalf also. So I'm next 10-15 minutes I'm going to give you short update about the project. We are looking a bit what has been done so far. There is some echo, so just a second, let's fix that. Okay, let's try again. I guess now it works fine.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Okay, sorry about that. So the next 10-15 minutes I'm going to give you a project update, what has been done so far, what is the plan ahead, and what are some of the key topics we are currently working in the project, knowing that we are in the development phase. There has been a lot of interest shown through several questions towards the project during the past years, and it seems to be that the further we get, the more questions there will be. And that is considered very positive, as always questions are a sign of interest. A very typical question is that when is the system ready? Ready for service or RFS is a very important milestone for this kind of projects. But we need to take some first some earlier steps before reaching that. So it's too early to say that when the system is ready. Where are the landings and what is the route? That is one of the most important area to look at during the development phase as well. The current plan is we are working on that the European end main landing is in Kirkenes, and in Asia, in Japan, it's Tokyo. And then we are looking the other potential landings through branches as well in the international system here. What is the capacity? Capacity of this kind of systems is measured through the number of fiber pairs and also the capacity of each fiber pairs. That will be designed and defined during the development phase as well. Who are the customers? We know that the content providers are the biggest users currently in the global telecom networks. Then there are public users, research and education societies, public users and enterprise networking. So all various kind of customers. and the purpose is really to attract as wide as possible customer base. Are the permits available? That's very common question for us as well. And of course, first we need to make a plan for which we need to apply the permits and have an active dialogue with the authorities and governments in the different countries. So all of these will come in due course when the project moves ahead. This shows a typical diagram of submarine cable system which applies also the planned Arctic Connect system. It can be divided in two different parts. There is the wet part and the dry part. The dry part includes the cable landing station, which is the site on terrestrial side which connects the terrestrial network to the submarine section. And there will be electrical, optical and other elements in that cable landing station. Then there is the wet part, where the main element component is the submarine cable. It's not the big cable, so typically the diameter of these telecom submarine cables are something like 3 to 4 centimeters. So it's fairly small element in terms of the diameters. For long segments as this, there are subsea repeaters or optical amplifiers in the seabed as well. And then in order to construct additional kind of landings and branches, there will be kind of branching units in the structure as well. So this is a common structure. When we are looking our project plan, so we have been working on this project already for some 4 or 5 years. It was started by Cinia, and we called it rather initiative than a project those years. And as we heard earlier, 2019 we entered in the memorandum of understanding with Megaphone from Russia, and then further later on we created Cinia Alliance, consisting of our development partners from Finland, Norway and Japan. And a specific development company has been established this year. And the purpose of the development phase is to plan, design and verify detailed enough all relevant areas of the system and the project in order to verify and assess the actual implementation and the construction of the system. That is called kind of assessing the bankability. I will come back to that in a bit later on. So that will be the kind of milestone to make the actual investment decision. Currently, we are still preparing that decision. And after construction phase, the operation and maintenance phase will follow, and expected that the lifetime for this kind of systems is a minimum of 25-30 years. Assessing the bankability. So its question is that the system and the plans are credible for the different kind of interest groups and stakeholders. First of all, there needs to be the market and customer for the plant system. So we have been already having an active dialogue with potential customers for years, and that will be one of the key areas also from now onwards in the project. And another area is that the system needs to be attractive to investors. There is a lot of parties who are interested in investing infrastructure projects, but of course, though all of these projects needs to be verified very carefully, and that is one of the key areas as well. Then technical and operational solution through the whole life cycle and lifetime of the system, including especially during the implementation phase, environmental impact analysis and other related areas in the Arctic regions. Permits and licenses in all related countries requires an active dialogue with authorities and governments. There are different local policies in terms of handling. There are different local interests, and we need to kind of plan the system that it will meet all of these requirements. And security, of course, is one of the key cornerstones of all of this planning as well. The development phase is executed through a dedicated separate company, Arctic Link Development, whose domicile is in Finland. And this company is 50-50 owned by Cinia Alliance and Megaphone from Russia. And also all the development phase related activities are executed through this company and through these development partners. Just now we are working on the cable route study in order to find the most optimum route in water areas, in international and other water areas, and for that route we are going to apply the permits and have a dialogue with the authorities. And very typically in this kind of projects, it will be an iterative process. First, it is a question of permits for marine surveys, and later on it will be separate permits for the construction. Business modeling with different kind of scenarios and stress tests is as well extremely important area in order to scrutinize the business case. There will be typically a base plan and then potential options and extensions to that as well. The basic or the principal architecture in our current plan is that there will be fully separate subsystems in the Arctic Connect cable system. There will be the international subsystem and there will be a Russian subsystem. And we are looking in the project at what can be shared and what has to be dedicated to specific subsystems in order to attract the widest interest groups globally. And Cinia's and Cinia Alliance interest is of course primarily the wide international interest here. In close relation to the base plan, we are of course looking at options which may be potential extensions to the first phase implementation. Typically, customers in subsea project has been called anchor customers, but we have tried to kind of modify the mindset here as well. So we are calling them as engine customers. So we need to find an attractive critical base of engine customers early enough. And the engine customers are those which we are looking to boost the project rather than anchors which you need to drag behind. Backbone connectivity is another important area because we know that all the services and needs are not close to the landing stations. So very related areas and projects are terrestrial backbones. So creating the connections to the cable landing stations. Typically international and intercontinental subsea cable systems have minimum of 2 to 3 independent backhaul connections available. And that is also what the customers and markets are required. So to conclude this project update, I would like to share you that the view that here we have as Arctic Connect an attractive opportunity for real international success story. Thank you, and I'm open for questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Vuorinen. I have received a few questions from the audience, and I will bring up a few of them. How many fiber cables will the cable contain? Fiber pairs will the cable contain? And will the subsystems between Finland, Norway, and Japan have more fiber pairs than the Russian backbone, or will it be the same?
There are several kind of areas of details in the system which will be finally kind of locked at later stage. Technically, what we have been planned and discussed with the technology vendors and manufacturers as well, technically 8 to 16 fiber pairs are feasible in the system. Currently, our base plan includes 12 fiber pairs, but there are several kind of parameters which at the end will define if it's 12 or is it less or more. But that's our base plan, 12 fiber pairs. And most of the fiber pairs in the current plan is dedicated for international markets and international use.
I will allow one more question, and I think it's what is the overall assessment of technical, financial, and political risk for the project?
That's a very good question as well. Of course, that's such a wide area, these risks, that it needs to be kind of looked more in details, the different kind of issues within the overall risk assessments. But risk assessment and risk mitigation is another typical area in this kind of project. And at the end, how I see it is a balancing the opportunities this kind of system can bring and offer, and then the risks and threats it may kind of create. So we need to find an acceptable and right balance between the opportunities and the potential risks.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for your presentation. I see there is a lot of questions that are brought in, and I will try in the end of the seminar to write them up and see if we're able to answer them by email to all of you, because we cannot answer everything that we have received in different platforms. The next speaker is Benedicte WAALER. She is from Invest in Norway, and Invest in Norway is the official investment promotion agency of Norway. Ms. WAALER is a special advisor with a special focus on data centers. This means that she focuses upon facilitating strategic alliances and investments within renewable energy and energy-intensive industries, which is perfect for this kind of project. Invest in Norway aims to be your first point of contact when you want to do business in Norway. They can provide you with information, connect you with opportunities and relevant networks. Given the opportunities the Arctic Connect project will give us, we give the digital floor to Ms. WAALER with high expectations.
Thank you, Kenneth. Can you all hear me? You're all muted, so you can't tell me if you can hear me. I think you can hear me. My name is Benedicte WAALER, and I work at Innovation Norway. I don't know if all of you know Innovation Norway, but we are an arm of the Norwegian government, and we work as part of the business support system. We give loans, grants to Norwegian businesses, and we work with clusters and startups. And there's also a small part of Innovation Norway called Invest in Norway, where I work, where, as Kenneth said, we work to facilitate foreign investments. And we do this because a strong ecosystem within a sector often is composed of both national and international players. So we work with both the international clients and with the Norwegian players. I have worked within Invest in Norway about 2 years, but I've worked with data centers for the past 10 years, and now I work within Invest in Norway with data centers. Norway is a data center location, and I'll talk a little bit about what Arctic Connect can mean for us. In order to give you a good overall feeling for this, I'll start to talk a little bit about why data centers in the Nordics and in Norway, and what we have learned over the past 10 years, and what we think Arctic Connect could mean to us based on these experiences. Last year, we did all the Nordic IPAs, the investment promotion agencies, Business Sweden, Invest in Denmark, Invest in Iceland, and also Invest in Finland. We worked together for the Nordic Council of Ministers on a common project on why data centers in the Nordics. And because there are lots of common factors, and of course, the most important one is that there is an abundance of renewable energy in the Nordics. There's a very, very stable, reliable power supply, low prices, stable political systems, and these are common factors across the Nordics. Norway is unique because we have such a very high percentage of renewables in our electricity mix, 98%, which is quite a bit higher than the others. So there are some defining factors for all the countries. And while we were working with this, we asked Philip Lowe, who's chairman of Broad Group, to make some statements about the Nordics. And what he chose to say was that the Nordics have the potential to evolve as a truly global data hub connecting Europe to North America and Asia. So he thinks already from that, that statement 2 years ago, you can see why these Arctic fiber cable systems could be very important. So what have we learned during working with this? We've learned that green energy really isn't enough. We can't just go around the world saying Norway has lots of green energy, come here. We needed to work on taxes. We had an energy tax, we had an infrastructure tax that were not conducive to investments. We did not have as much fiber as other countries. We had lots of terrestrial fiber going to Sweden, but we didn't have the diversity of routes internationally that we needed. And we also lacked investment-ready sites. It's not enough to say that, you know, this municipality has power, but you need a site with certain things in order, or at least a timeline. So we have worked on this for quite a few years, and 2 years ago the government signed the world's first data center strategy, where they detailed what has been done and what will be done within these areas: taxes, energy, fiber, and also sites for the data center ecosystem. And they're currently revising this strategy. It was very successful, we think, at least, because they did manage to address the key issues. We see now, for example, huge investments in subsea fiber coming into Norway through, for example, Bulk and Altibox Carrier. And Norway has gone from being, you know, at the very back of the list for fiber connectivity to being very far ahead in next generation fiber connectivity. But this mostly pertains to southern Norway. After the data center strategy was launched and we felt that we addressed some of the main issues, we still needed to work a lot on our ecosystem, having the ecosystem work together to have like common messaging abroad. We also had problems communicating our relationship to the EU, especially for Americans, not so much for Europeans, because they understand that we're part of the European Economic Area. Norway follows all EU rules that are relevant here. And but for Americans, this could be a showstopper because they were only looking at the EU. We also saw that for many people, hydropower is not really considered green. And hydropower is, of course, something we do differently at different places in the world with different CO2 emissions. And we needed to clarify some of these points. But we also saw that we couldn't only be working on fiber and sites in the south, we also need to look north. These are just a few slides showing what we have done. We've been working with the Norwegian data center ecosystem. It has become increasingly international, and because we're a small country. We think it's better that we market Norway together with the large players and that we're on stage with them and that we work together with them. And the past 2 years, we've seen lots of very positive investments in Norway from international players, and also strengthening of the bonds between the players who are in Norway, both the national and the international. We've worked, like I said, with hydropower, with documenting footprint. We've worked on the relationship to the EU. And what we see now here with you, for example, there's still some very interesting international subsea fiber on the drawing board, or way past the drawing board, I would hope here, but that we hope will open up the north going forward. So what do I think Arctic Connect could mean? In talking with large players, there's several of them who have said, and I'm quoting here, that this could be a game changer because you're reducing latency by 25 to 40%, and you're enabling the vision that I started off with of the Nordics as a global hub. We hope that this will be opening up the north, creating like a snowball effect. I said outside of Luleå because Luleå has done a fantastic job. And then I've also thought a little bit about what needs to be in place. And what we see has been functioning in the south is we have an ecosystem that works together. And that's not only the colos and the sites, it's also the municipalities and the government through the data center strategy. This whole ecosystem needs to have open, transparent communication and to help build the foundation together. We also see that this is quite a hybrid world we live in, that, for example, a co-location provider who starts off with local customers and maybe national customers, does a good job, can use these customers as a proof of concept when they go abroad. And that this can, a colo in a region could open up that region. We need market knowledge, what market segment to target, and also market muscle. Everyone's talking about the same clients in the same way, and I don't know whether that will be very effective. And we need competent workforce. It's not enough to talk about these very high-level things about energy, fiber, political situation. You need a place to land, you need an investment-ready site, you need people who can work there, and you need to know that the ecosystem around also functions. And so we see that the work on the ecosystem, our experiences at least, is that this is extremely important. And we have a functioning, well-functioning ecosystem in Norway, and we have players from the north who are like DAG-KJETIL, who was just talking to presenters ago. We communicate quite a lot, and we have site developers in the north who are already in our group. And we think this is extremely important, using the whole country and working together within Norway, but also within the northern region, because we see a lot of cooperation cross-border. Norway, Sweden, for example, that cooperation could be just as important and just as good as the cooperation with southern Norway. But it's probably because my job is to get this cooperation going. I find that this is extremely important, that good cooperation unlocks all the potential. And if everyone's just competing, then you're not unlocking it. So that is my hope, basically, that we're able to get the most out of the ecosystem that is there already, and to develop an ecosystem in the north. And I would be glad to help you do so. I included just 2 quick maps here of our colos and wholesale. And you see there's a lot in the south, not so much in the north. I'm very happy that Arctic Circle Data Center has been given a new chance. And we also see, when it comes to site developers, we do have more in the south than in the north, but we have some good site developers in the north, and we hope they'll work together and continue working with the rest of us to develop the north as a data center location also. And that was the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for having me. And yeah. I can, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Benedicte. This was very good. I had prepared a few questions and you answered them all. But I did get a notifications from the audience, and that's that Innovation Norway is both a national and a regional tool, as it's owned by the counties in Norway, meaning that Benedicte will also be an important helper for us in this project in this region as well. So in order to improvise, and since all the questions were asked, you had a map in front of us. Yeah. What would you do as the very first step if you were us trying to get more, use Mr. VUORINEN's words, to boost the project from your perspective?
Oh, that was a difficult question. And what I would do if I were you, or what I should do to help you? What I would do if I were you?
I was asking the other way around, but it's even better if you, how can you help us to boost the project? That's a very nice.
I think it's important to get the national players interested in looking north and giving advice. I've noticed that, you know, some of our strongest players who have been the most successful internationally, they're actually very easy to talk to and they're quite generous. So it's possible, I can't guarantee it, but it's possible but that some of the very largest site developers and also some of the largest colos would be willing to talk to you about what they think could be important, the ones who are talking with the international clients. And I think they would say a few of the things that I have said. They think, you know, the fiber is extremely important, and also which business models you choose and which clients you segment. Don't go after the same thing as everyone else. Find out what your niche could be. But I would talk to them, and I know that they do talk to municipalities who are asking for advice, and I could help set that up, because Innovation Norway is, you know, we're partly owned by the municipalities, and any municipality that calls me, I show up and talk to them. So we're available, and that's maybe the good thing about being part of Invest in Norway, being part of Innovation Norway, is that I have to have like a double role. But that's not a bad thing.
Thank you.
Oh, call me.
We will make sure that we reach out, and hopefully more of the audience will reach out too. Sør-Varanger Utvikling has been in this fiber cable project for a few years as a stakeholder and try to be a part of the project. As far as I know, the project has been around for quite a while, and it also has been on a very high political level for quite some time. Most of this is based on my readings and understandings, but I understand that also the former Minister of Finland, Mr. Paavo Lipponen, was a pioneer in this project. That being said, it is a great honor to introduce our next speaker, Mr. TIMO HARAKKA, who is the Finland's Minister of Transport and Communications. He has also been the previous Minister of Employment and has served as a member of the Finnish Parliament since 2015. He's well known in Finland as an active debater, social influencer, and a cultural figure. Prior to his political career, he worked for over 30 years as a journalist, writer, and TV producer. He has published several books and articles in the European Union economics, taxation, and societal issues. We are very honored to introduce Minister HARAKKA on board on this event, and it's a great pleasure to leave the digital room to the Finnish minister. Please.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a great pleasure for me to have this opportunity and greet this Arctic Submarine Cable Conference. Challenges that the Arctic region confronts today are more serious than ever before. The importance of the Arctic region is growing not only from the perspective of both Nordic countries and the European Union, but globally as well. This relates mainly to the climate change and the political tensions around the area. Nevertheless, my intention is not to focus on these questions. We all share the understanding that the long-term development of the Arctic region depends in large part on a sustainable and efficient infrastructure and transport and digital networks. As the Arctic is opening up, modern connectivity will underpin economic growth and allow for the delivery of better services to Arctic peoples. Therefore, I would like to concentrate on the Arctic connectivity, which has been a special priority for Finland for a long time. Connectivity was also highlighted during Finland's chairmanship of the Arctic Council, which terminated a year and a half ago, and when a task force on improved connectivity, chaired by Finland, reported on different solutions for Arctic communications questions. Some words, if you allow, on connectivity. For us, it is evident that connectivity, a very widely used term nowadays, relates to telecommunications and broadband services, but also relates to digitalization and mobility services, and even to satellite services and to Earth observation. The digitalization of European industry and the modernization of sectors like transport, energy, healthcare, and public administration depend on universal access to reliable, affordable, high and very high capacity networks. Digital connectivity has become one of the key factors in helping close economic, social, and territorial divides, supporting the modernization of local economies and underpinning the diversification of economic activities. According to the European data strategy, the value of the EU data economy will increase from 301 billion euros to 830 billion euros between 2018 and 2025. This places significant demands on the telecommunications infrastructure. We all understand that the well-functioning communications networks and services are a lifeline for everyday life and a prerequisite for economic development, especially in the Arctic. Connectivity is the main driver for social improvement and will help people to participate more fully in a modern society. This is a fact that has become more tangible than ever throughout the globe during this pandemic crisis we are confronting everywhere. One of the main findings of the Arctic Council's Connectivity Working Group is that opportunities for improved connectivity in the Arctic area are on the horizon. Over the next few years, existing and emerging connectivity technologies are expected to become more widely available, which could improve service in the circumpolar region. The digital economy is taking shape in the Arctic. Another finding is that there are multiple solutions for connectivity. Case studies provided by the Arctic Council states illustrate various approaches to the implementation of telecommunications technologies and applications to provide connectivity in the Arctic. The provided examples cover most of the existing technologies such as fiber cables, satellites, and land-based radio systems. They are funded by governmental, regional, local, or private financing. Dear colleagues, high-quality internet connectivity is necessary for new economic opportunities. Therefore, the deployment of backbone electronic communications networks is needed to provide the necessary redundancy for vital infrastructure and to increase the capacity and resilience of digital networks. This includes submarine cables connecting European territories to third countries on other continents, or connecting European islands or overseas territories to the mainland. However, such projects are often commercially unviable without some kind of public support. Submarine telecommunications cables are an advanced fiber infrastructure based on these would provide opportunities to build additional connections to submarine telecommunications cable routes. This would in turn attract investment and business to the Arctic region. The realization of the Arctic Connect, previously often called as the Northeast Passage Data Cable Project, is a priority for the Finnish government. It will connect Asia to Europe through the northernmost parts of Finland, Norway, and Russia, and it will play a central role in improving the connectivity in the Arctic region. Together with the trunk cable route from northern Finland to the south of the country, it could have a significant role in connecting the northern areas of Europe to Central Europe. It is a fact that existing investments, for example, data center investments located in the country, send a strong signal to foreign markets, inviting further investments. The northern region offers optimal conditions for ecologically sustainable data center operations, which are benefiting due to economic advantages related to lower cooling energy costs and a safe operating environment. For Finland, this is an encouragement to continue to be a digital frontrunner and to take a leading role in the digitalization of Europe. Dear colleagues, even though the state has a strong interest in promoting better connectivity solutions for remote areas and in the Arctic Connect project is fully a commercial one, run by the Cinia Group Limited, which is a prominent role in this project. The role of the government is to support the technical implementation of the project and act as a facilitator, but the project itself would be carried out by companies on the basis of genuine commercial interests. It is clear that the project could be fulfilled only if there is a real business interest, even though there is a multinational understanding that it is necessary. Our aim in the project is to have a market-driven, commercially viable project. We believe that many international companies are interested in participating in the concern that it will construct the cable. There is a remarkable interest in many countries towards the Arctic Connect project and in the commercial opportunities, which it provides by selling fiber pairs. For example, Nordnet, the cooperation organization for the Nordic National Research Networks, is leading the project, which aims to acquire fiber pair for R&D and education. Nordnet could therefore make a significant contribution to the entire cable project. Consequently, the Arctic connection will support the full utilization of the existing data center infrastructure to combine, for example, artificial intelligence and machine learning, data masses and high-performance computing, and thus promote innovations. In addition, the fiber pair creates opportunities for international and multidisciplinary research collaboration, which can achieve significant breakthroughs in, for example, climate research, Arctic research and health research. The Arctic cable covers the growing need and enables the construction of a new intercontinental educational cooperation, for example, between Finnish and the world's top universities. So I strongly believe that the Arctic Cable project can play an essential role in encouraging and the development of new opportunities that would benefit our citizens and society as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, with these words, I wish you all a most interesting conference. Let us work together and have a fruitful discussion today how to put this incredible change in the Arctic into action. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Harakka. It was very inspiring words. From the audience, we got a question. Will the Finnish government be a stakeholder in this project by investing directly into it, and will it be the Finnish government encourage the other governments to invest directly into it?
Thank you very much for the question. As I said, the whole nexus of the operation is that it needs to be a commercially viable project, and I'm quite sure there will be a lot of business interest in it. The Finnish government, as such, is not a party of this project, but it is a stakeholder in the Cinia Corporation, which obviously is the heart and soul, along with other partners of this project. And in this sense, we are very strongly involved, and personally, I am very strongly involved in this project.
Thank you very much. And since I have the opportunity to ask a minister a question, I have to do it from Kirkenes. being from our side, what should we do here in Kirkenes in order to help and proceed and make this project happen? From your thoughts.
Well, I thank you for that question as well. And first of all, this event itself is testament to the fact that you are providing an interest and certainly facilitating this whole project. And I'm quite sure that this activity will be very well received within this project. And I'm quite sure that the whole area will hopefully be fully involved in this extraordinary project and a great opportunity of enhancing development and the future of the region. So I'm quite sure that you're doing the right thing right now, and let's just keep on doing more of the right thing.
Thank you, Minister. That was nice words. I will, by that also, thank you for spending time with us, and hopefully you will maybe follow us through the discussion from your computer. Our next honored guest is State Secretary RAYMOND ROBERTSEN from the Conservative Party. He is from Hammerfest here in Finnmark, and he has been involved through politics and administrational work as well as business development in various projects in this region for more than 20 years. In such, he has a broad understanding of the region and the Arctic. Mr. Robertsen has a state secretary position within the Ministry of Local Government and Modernization. His leader, Mr. Helleland's responsibility includes IT policy, electronic communication, so having State Secretary Robertsen as a speaker in this event is a true asset for the project. I'm very pleased to introduce State Secretary Robertsen, and please enter the digital scene.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you so much for to be allowed to participate in this webinar on this interesting subject. And I've heard a lot of interesting speeches so far. So thank you everybody for contributing to this webinar. Expanding subsea communication in and out of Norway is very important. Submarine cables are critical infrastructure for global flow of the data. It's through such connection we can connect Norway even closer to the rest of the world in the future. Until recent years, Norway had a disadvantage in this regard, with a lack of alternatives, creating challenges with regards to capacity and, of course, redundancy. We're happy to see that this has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. There has been massive investment in fiber projects with the emerge of several large-scale fiber optic cable projects in and out of Norway. Large international data centers need secure and fast connection to locate data centers in Norway. We need to continue building alternative capacity abroad that delivers secure and reliable internet traffic for businesses and society in Norway. At a fundamental level, we must make data traffic and internet access to and from Norway even more robust. Speaking of data centers and other data-centric industries, there are several factors making Norway especially suited as a host for such services. We have a substantial surplus of renewable energy, low energy prices, and the potential of long-term fixed price contracts on energy. We have unmatched reliable and scalable renewable energy, which is not in the case for many countries in Norway. Norway has good fiber infrastructure, both within the country and international fiber, and world-leading fourth generation mobile cell phones, and an ambitious plan for 5G mobile. The Norwegian ecosystem for data centers is maturing and becoming very international, as we saw from the earlier presentations already. The data center industry is already an important industry for Norway. A recent analyst found that the industry is currently supporting around 2,000 jobs at a national level. The analysts also show that this number may rise into 11,000 jobs already in 2025 and up to 25,000 jobs in 2030. The analysts also point to the fact that a lot of these jobs may be generated at the local level. Bearing these possibilities in mind, the government sees it as crucial to further involve our work in order to facilitate the growth of the data center industry at the national level. The strategy from 2018 called Norway as a data center nation exempted data centers from tax on plants and machinery and promised governmental money to support better connectivity to the rest of the world, as well as an alternative backbone within Norway. We can now conclude that the strategy has been fruitful. Our number shows a market increase of investment in data centers in Norway in 2019 and 2020, with the investments accessing over 2.7 billion Norwegian kroners. But we still have a way to go. For instance, we have not yet managed to attract hyperscale data centers to Norway. We need to continue the work we've started, and we aim at launching a revised data center strategy by summer 2021. We will want to improve conditions where possible, strengthen connectivity, and work towards security in the broader area of the data center ecosystem, among other initiatives. In conclusion, we want to highlight the fact that Norway has a solid foundation with regards to developing a profitable and sustainable data center industry in Norway. And we welcome any project or measure that support this goal. And Arctic Connect is among that project or measure. We wish you good luck on the work ahead of in relation to the Arctic submarine cable. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, State Secretary Robertsen. It's great with political support on both the Norwegian and the Finnish side, and we see that we have support on a national level and a regional level. That being said, some of the fields in the business fields in the Arctic are outstanding, and some of the business fields in the Arctic are lagging a bit behind in the development and innovation field. How can we locally use the forces together with the regional and national level in order to take the pole position in this project and ensure that we proceed with full political support?
I would say the political support for this project you have. This is a welcoming support, and the effect of building this cable benefit very many. It's of course a big project. It's a very costly project, and as my colleague in Finland said, it's a project that's a private project. But the thing we are very concerned about is how to use future better infrastructure in order to make Norway attract more data center, and especially the bigger data center that requires a lot of energy, high-speed internet connection, and of course will also mean a lot of investment within Norway. Data centers, if you come to local level, they requires a lot of land. So cities and local government should already try to see where can we fit this kind of businesses. You need energy, so you need good energy lines, reliable energy line, and of course you need cable. One thing about data center is they require a lot of energy, and a lot of that energy is used to cool these facilities. In that regard, as coming from Finnmark myself, I know the temperature is in our side. If we have energy and if we have good connections.
Thank you, Mr. State Secretary. But sometimes it's a benefit of freezing as well and having great opportunities around this. I would like to thank you for your time and also that you confirmed that the project is politically anchored. We will do our very best to ensure that this actually happens in a nearby future. Thank you. I received a question from the audience that I will bring to Cinia as the CEO. The question was, will there be a presentation from Megaphone on the progress on the Russian side during this session? And if not, why not?
Thank you for the question. Actually, a very good question again. Cinia is not actually the organizer of this event, so I try to answer on behalf of my dear colleagues, dear Norwegian colleagues. We have actually invited Megaphone representatives into the meeting, so I'm into this webinar. So I'm sure that there are some of them in the list of participants. Unfortunately, actually, this event was overlapping with another global submarine event, which is virtually in Singapore. It is a Submarine Networks World 2020. It's a 2 days webinar, if I recall it right, and today is the last day. And we have actually representatives both from Cinia and from Megaphone in that event. As we speak here, they are actually having their presentations in that event. But whenever we have this similar type of an event the next time, so let's be sure that we will invite the Russian colleagues as well.
Thank you for the answers. I can also bring into that when we planned this event, we were planning to target the Norwegian audience specifically from a Finnish perspective with Cinia as our partners. That being said, we look forward to bringing Megaphone into the next round that we'll have in a nearby future as well. So we just need to continue to work.
Excellent, thank you. And why not even actually some Russian ministers or authorities as well?
Absolutely. Our next speaker and the first speaker after this break is our acting mayor, Paul Gabrielsen. Mr. Gabrielsen is from the Social Left Party, and he is educated as a civil engineer with a broad experience from different technical work. In addition to be a huge supporter of the Arctic Connect project, he is a true Sør-Varanger patriot with his heart tightly connected to education, technology, and inclusion of all people and fighting diversities. I'm proud to present our own mayor to the digital scene. Paul, welcome.
Thank you, Kenneth. It's good to be here, and it's good to be a part of this project. I will also, during my speech, share my screen and do a presentation in parallel. So I will be testing my skills here regarding that. So I will hope it will pass the test. I will just share my screen first. I hope you can see the first slide of it.
Looks good.
It looks good. It's fantastic. And I passed the test. Okay. Dear Minister, State Secretary, collaboration partners and other friends. As the political leader of Sør-Varanger, it's a great pleasure and honor to welcome more than 200 participants to this important digital event. In these demanding times, it brings hope and vision for the future when we meet to discuss and learn more about the Arctic Connect project. From Sør-Varanger, this project has been followed with high interest through many years. While the project has been discussed and worked on from various actors, the real game changer in our local perspectives came in 2017 when the previous Finnish minister Anne Berner contacted former Norwegian minister Ketil Solvik-Olsen and for real put Arctic connectivity on the agenda. This gave us in Sør-Varanger an important signal. The project turned from a highly floating idea into a more tangible and real project. The main factor in this project, Cinia Limited, has visited our municipality several times, and I feel confident that we share the same ambitions. By this, we also look forward to future collaboration and more activity, and we ask for more information and continuous updates. When we talk about logistics and connectivity, we often forget to talk about the highly important digital logistics and connections. The town Kirkenes and Sør-Varanger Municipality aims to become an important hub for logistics in the Arctic. This ambition also means that hosting the western starting or ending points for the Arctic Connect project is one of our highest agenda. By being the host for this digital highway, Sør-Varanger is ready to take a leading position in the development of new industry and competence in the Arctic. Through this highly international project, we can turn around the disadvantages with distances and long travels, while also providing work and interesting job for our youth. I am therefore very happy to know that this project is seen as very important for our friends on the Russian side too. It is important for all of us to continue to develop the Arctic in a sustainable way, and thereof maintain the possibilities to live in our fantastic region. In Sør-Varanger, we have a strong industry with actors that are used to handle complex and changing environment. This means that we are also ready to provide the actors who want to do businesses in our region with high professionalism and solid solution. We welcome the international society to discuss, plan, and enable the possibilities the Arctic Connect projects will bring. By this, the municipality of Sør-Varanger look forward to meet and facilitate professional services to the actors who want to establish businesses in our home region. I am proud to tell the audience that we offer great new built schools, a very competent high school, a brand new hospital, a broad cultural life, a decent housing situation, an airport with direct flights to the capital, a close-by harbor area with a great potential, and much more. Obviously, our nature is fantastic and gives great opportunities for personal hobbies. We appreciate our nature and the use of it highly, and any project involving it must document great sustainability and action to reduce the impact on the nature. You, in part of our municipality, you can actually just walk out the front door and enjoy fishing, hunting, hiking, or just sit down and watch the northern lights in the winter or the midnight sun in the summer. While offering great experiences in the wild, we also offer modern facilities in our town. In short, Sør-Varanger is modern, competent, filled with opportunities for both professional and personal development. You can live a great life in our municipality. Again, the Arctic Connect project is a top priority for us, and we look forward to cooperate and ensure that this project evolves as smoothly as possible. On behalf of Sør-Varanger Municipality, best regards from me, and thank you again for being part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Earlier today, we have heard about some preconditions that we should start to work with. How can the Sør-Varanger municipality start to plan and proceed from a local side? It was mentioned aerial planning, preparing the areas, and so on.
On the political side, we must prepare the administration about give them information about the possibilities this fiber cable gives us as a society. In fact, in the whole area of East Finnmark, and by that prepare them that they must be prepared for a good planning and to make available resources for the planning, and also that the priority on the political side must be high, that we can do quick decisions and prepare for the needed documentation for the administration.
Thank you. And another question, how can we locally prepare to ensure that we have the competences that we need, both on the schooling side, on a lower and a higher level?
No, that's a good question, because yeah, we need high competence to be ready for this these projects that is coming, because they are coming, and we are doing a hard work towards the University of Tromsø and other universities in Norway to make it possible to have an establishment here in Kirkenes for the actual needed competence. And we will continue the work, and we won't stop before it is established here in the society as a permanent education.
Thank you, Paul. This is very inspiring to see that we have full support from a local level as well. That being said, we are also introducing the regional level through Mrs. KARIN ERIKSEN, who is a leading politician from the Center Party from Troms. She holds the position as an executive councillor for the business development and environment in Troms and Finnmark County, while also being a deputy member in the Norwegian Parliament. With her training in economics and leadership, she has a broad experience from the private industry, both as a leader and as an economical advisor. Mrs. Eriksen has also an in-depth experience in politics from local, regional, and national level, and it's a great pleasure to introduce her to this project. Welcome.
Thank you. We start on the first slide. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, thank you. Dear ministers, dear colleagues, dear friends. First, let me thank the organizers for taking the initiative for this conference. My name is KARIN ERIKSEN. Let me start up with my claim that access to the internet has become one of the basic infrastructure we need, just like electricity and clean water. I will explain my claim, but first, let's look to the Arctic. As a result of the climate change, the Arctic is going through three-dimensional change, many with a strong negative impact. The climate change we are seeing are having the greatest impact on polar regions. For us, it is important that new business and sustainable and build on our advantages in the north. The Arctic seabed provides a new opportunity. Then to the next slide. Next slide. So why is internet a basic infrastructure we need? Over the last few months with corona restriction and the digital development has made some quantum leaps and really shown us that the importance of good digital infrastructure. The new digital world has changed how we define center and periphery. Geography has become almost irrelevant, and access to high-speed broadnet means everything. The center of innovation and development will be the communities with good access. A cable from Japan to Kirkenes will place our region in that center. This connection cable is an information highway. After the road is there, it is up to us to build the activities around the highway. The next slide. The County Council focus on creating local value and regional development. In our region, we have sustainable areas, plenty of green energy, and an upcoming high-speed cable. It is obvious to me that this provides for new business development. In order to succeed, it is critical that we all work together. Next slide. The role of the County Council is to develop the community. This includes to provide strategies, direction for development, to mobilize the private sector and local communities, and to coordinate public efforts and politics. Next slide. In order to be able to use the opportunities that is a new cable will give us, it is also important to be able to get workers with the right skills. One of our tasks as a county is to run upper secondary schools and vocation schools. This gives us an important job to do in the future. A journalist once described East Finnmark as a remote place, an appendix. This cable will make Finnmark the center. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Eriksen. It was inspiring words, and I can clearly see that you're on the same page as us. From the countryside, in challenging times, how can we ensure that we get the competences and the resources that we need to this? I know it's an ongoing debate all the time.
We have good schools in Finnmark and Troms. And now when Finnmark and Troms is got together, we cooperate very good to make the schools very good for the youngs in future. And we cooperate with the university here in North to make the future good for our new skills.
I also got a question, can we ensure that the regional councils in both in Norway and Finland cooperate to ensure that this project happens?
Yes, we have been good neighbor with Finland in a lot of years, and we will be good neighbors in the future, and we will cooperate to this. This cable is very important for the future for all of the country in North.
Thank you. And I would like to say that as a personal note, I hope that also includes the Russian side for sure.
I hope it did.
And so, having political anchoring on a local, regional and national level, both in Norway and Finland, with clear inputs to bring our Russian friends into the next side, we'll also bring the next speaker on board. Mr. Kjartan Rist is the last speaker and an investor, a founder and an advisor. He works for Concentric. Concentric is an active venture investor providing a value-added approach to investing portfolio management. In our region, we used to say that there is a low, it's hard to reach a free capital. But as we can see, it's not harder than bringing a Kirkenes guy to the table, at least to listen to what he has to say. Mr. Rist has spent his last 2 decades focusing on the technology sector as a founder and board member and investor. Prior Concentric, he founded a venture fund, DAG-KJETIL, and the merchant bank Coral Partners. In his career to date, he has been instrumental in more than 100 transactions. As I mentioned, Mr. Rist is also born and raised in Kirkenes, meaning that he knows the local culture and can thereof help to facilitate efficient investments in our region. Please give Mr. Rist a great, not applause, but entry to the digital scene. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth, and thank you for having me and inviting me to participate in this super exciting project that you guys have started in Kirkenes or in the region. Although I'm getting the sort of the graveyard shift here, so I'm trying to not to repeat what all the other speakers have been talking about so far. I'll bring up a presentation here that I have prepared. Yeah, as Kenneth mentioned, born and raised in Kirkenes, spent the last 25 years in the UK mostly, and the last 20 years I've spent investing in technology and across the globe, and have certainly got an insight into some of the challenges and the opportunities that you are facing in the region and in this specific topic. So in terms of this specific topic and on data underpins everything that we do in terms of individually and in the society. As an individual, data is we're streaming, we are using other types of devices. We are collecting, or we are transforming every time we connect to the internet or we use our smartphone. As a society, data is used to optimize processes across the energy grid, for transport systems, for communications, for e-commerce, even for space exploration. And as this picture here shows, is that data is the new oil. This is particularly pertinent for Norway. And as an anecdote, last week the system we are using here, Zoom, reached the same valuation, or in terms of market cap, as Exxon, the oil company. In terms of global data, a lot has been said on this in this session and amongst the speakers regarding the global data production. There is so many active internet users worldwide. There are so many connected devices, and another sort of piece of data is that more data will be created over the next 3 years that was produced the last 30 years. And another one is that 90% of the world's data has been created in the last 2 years, according to IBM. So as you see, there is a need for collecting and managing this data. That brings us over to today's topic, data centers. What are the drivers? Data centers, they take data, they process, they store, and they analyze. Data centers are the ones that are connecting the digital world with the physical world. And this is driven by data that is stored, driven by the increased need for computing power. It is driven by the fact that there are millions and millions of emails being written. We are purchasing more and more online, and we need someone to manage that. And there's online gaming, etc., etc. So, what is a data center? We try to break it down. And data centers, they're a relatively new addition to the sort of urban landscape. They are typically boring buildings hidden behind fences, and they often, especially in larger cities, they go unnoticed. Data centers can be broken into racks. They're simply shelves that are within the building, and within the racks there are servers that are where the actual computing is taking place, and this is driven by software to manage the data center infrastructure. And it was also mentioned we are still to build a hyperscale data center in Norway. But these are the various types of data center models, all the way from having a single server up to hyperscale. But what is clear is that these are significant investments. And to take a category large data center, this is 100 million pounds or a billion Norwegian kroner just to set it up. Construction and land 20%, and physical infrastructure 80%. And over a 15 to 20 year period, the cash flow going through this operation could be a billion pounds, which is like approximately 10 billion Norwegian kroner. So we're talking about significant amounts, and it was mentioned earlier regarding infrastructure investment. But we have the right drivers, and on this slide you can see the drivers are the increased demand for data center capacity. This is growing at 10–15% year on year. You can say it's taken a dip this year, but there's probably a certain pandemic that can take the blame for that. But this will continue as we are continuing to spend time online, as we are continuing to transform multiple industries, and we are producing more data. We've also discussed, or there has been discussed earlier in this session today, there are different categories of data centers and a different rationale for setting it up. And the gentleman from Finland, he mentioned that the content providers and the cloud providers, such as Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, etc., they have been driving a lot of these development, both from terms of trends, but also in terms of building new data centers, but also using their data centers themselves. But there are the other tech companies that are building data centers, and the old telcos, they have a foot in that camp as well. And managed service providers and banks have also been using or been building and running data centers. Go to the next slide. So when getting or moving ahead with a data center, what are the investment considerations? And I think all of these points have been mentioned today, but just to reiterate, focus on geography, climate is key, good logistics into the venues, and obviously land prices and availability of land. That is also key, and that is often a big issue in more urban areas where land and availability is very very scarce. Then is energy. These beasts are very, very expensive to run, and if you can produce inexpensive and also clean, thinking about the sustainability angle, that is also a big big boost. Also the fact that if you can have cooling in the shape of cool air or cool water, that is also a big advantage. Some of the socioeconomic factors, government incentives and skilled local workforce is also key. And that's where schools and education comes into the picture. And then the final one is network, and is network in terms of what we're talking about today, the cable in and the grid out. That is key in order to ensure capacity and latency in the distribution. Institutional investors worldwide is bullish. I just literally, while we're on this session, I had a call from a colleague who works in Goldman Sachs, and he said they have a whole department looking at investments into this space. And not only that, this sector has proven to be very crisis-proof and recession-proof. Data is growing despite having a crisis in terms of the overall society, and it has been one of the top performing asset classes since the start of the pandemic. Another anecdote, and this fits into the discussion we're having today with the cable coming from Japan. Asia Pacific is booming, and 47% of servers will be situated in Asia Pacific by the end of this year. This is a stat by Cisco. Some further data center trends. We are going towards co-location centers. That's because there are more people who want to have their secure position within data centers and managed services. We also start seeing these hyperscale centers that were mentioned earlier, and also these edge data centers that is closer to the customer to avoid latency. And we also start seeing another trend is modular data centers. So almost like Lego, you can add and take away, and you bring them almost in containers, and you just add to it. And then this sustainability factor that is part of the United Nations development goals, and is going through more or less every industry today, and this is particularly pertinent in this industry. Then when you're in a local economy, and this session is hosted in a small town where they have identified this opportunity. What are the opportunities and the benefits that such a data center can bring, and how can we encourage the development of such a data center? From a talent point of view, there are obviously employment opportunities. There are new jobs that will be created, and what we will see as well, what they've seen in other small towns, such as the Swedish town of Luleå, is that there's this clustering effect. So you start bringing sort of professional services, you start bringing talent, customers, etc. together, and this have a sort of a snowball effect, and hence the cluster will be created. For local businesses, this is obviously a great opportunity, because this will be purchasing products and services locally, and hence there will be an increase in trade. And for the local government, Obviously, local governments, they always welcome employment, and both from an enterprise and a personal tax perspective, this will boost the local economy. So there are many facets to this, and the many opportunities that can lead to that a data center development can result in the local economy. And it seems like the people both in these cross-border cooperation and the people locally in the region, they're pressing the right buttons in order to get this to come to fruition. That's just a short overview of Concentric and the type of companies we invest into. And I say thank you again for having me. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rist. This was great, and I think this answers a lot of the questions that has been brought up locally, at least. I have received quite a handful of questions from the audience, and I will challenge you to answer a few of them. One of them is that in the last couple of years, wind power has been criticized a lot in Norway. Do you think powering data centers in Kirkenes with windmill power will be a good sales argument for a big investor internationally?
One word, yes.
That was pretty clear. And the next one, do you think the data marketplaces based on blockchain technology will boost a wider area economy, and by this attracting more investors also to this project, the Arctic Connect project? Would it be useful for the local and private and public players to be involved as early stakeholder research markets as an incentive for their active participation along with international ones? Sorry, a long question.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I got that question specifically. Were they referring to the data center, or were they referring to a blockchain project?
Let me break it up. Do you think the data marketplaces based on the blockchain technology will boost a wider data economy?
Yeah.
Meaning that pooling into the ecosystem.
So we as a firm, me personally, we are long on blockchain. We think there is still some time before blockchain is being fully utilized to its potential. But we see it in multiple industries, and we have invested in companies both in the insurance industry and the logistics industry that is using blockchain actively in the current trading and in the current products. In terms of linking it up towards a data marketplace, I need to think through that, how prevalent that is and how far into the future that is. But happy to have a look at it. So the person asked that question, please person message me if he or she wants.
Yeah. How do you, as an investor, being from this region, see the possibilities for investing in a data center in Sør-Varanger?
I mean, it's we had, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 years ago since we had the first discussion regarding this point, and it's come on in leaps and bounds since then. And if you remember, it was one of my last slides. The region and what has happened the last year or so means that it ticks more or less every part of the project. It ticks all the boxes. What needs to be done is getting the people or the organizations who are going to invest. And I think it's a big chance that people who will be an anchor customer or even use the data center, they will also be the investor. So I think there's a great chance for, if it's done correctly and you connect with the right people, using the channels that you have already developed here and many others. I think there's a big chance that you can build a data center in the town of Kirkenes.
Thank you, Kjartan. And a last question, which is, I guess, extremely hard to answer based on the fact that where we are now, but by combining it with another answer. Based on your knowledge and expertise, how many employees and do a typical data center bring to a town or when they build it? How many employees does it typically have, and what kind of competence do you have to ensure that the ecosystem around it have?
Yeah, there's a very, very specific question, but running the data center is not that many employees, but it depends how advanced it is. Depends what type of customers you have, and it all depends on the size of the data center. So it's so many avenues you can go through there in order to find the appropriate answer there. But there's plenty of case studies from the Facebook data center in the northern Sweden that gives you that answer. And but what is clear is that by establishing a data center, you are establishing like a cornerstone type business in a town. That means that you will have skills in terms of not only running it, but maintaining it. You will have skills in terms of supplying services around it. You will have local computing power. You have local opportunities basically to utilize this data center. So there's so many spin-off effects and clustering effects, but these things doesn't come automatically. You need to work on it. You need to basically develop it in order to make this come to fruition.
Thank you, Kjartan. There is no such thing as a free lunch, I guess. Based on the Facebook case, also Mr. Hansen showed earlier today that within 7 years, they employed 384 people directly into the data center as well. And I think it was about $1.2 billion spent into the investments in the region. So we're talking about big things here.
Yes.
So thank you for your expertise, your presentation, and helping everyone to understand more of this industry and being very specific in what a data center is and what do the big players ask for. And thank you for your time. Before I sum up, I've got a last question back to the CEO of Cinia again, who has agreed to answer it.
I'm here.
Perfect, Ari.
Actually, I may compliment to the Kjartan's answer regarding the kind of an employment of the data centers. I think that I've read somewhere Google has one of the biggest data centers in the world, or one of their biggest centers in the world here in southern Finland, and I think that it's been up and running already for about 10 years, and they are increasing or updating and upgrading that with 1 or 2 blocks every year. So it's a continuous building site, and actually I think that it's about 1,000 people permanently in the construction already over the 10 years period, and it is exactly as Kjartan said that the data centers itself. I think that they are not revealing the total number. That must be somewhere 200 to 300 only. I mean, inside the building, but let's say outside the building, there is plenty of all level of kind of an employment related to the data center itself. And then the ecosystem around it is actually also another issue. So it's not only the data center, but that is something which is building around it as well.
Thank you. So this brings high hopes for our region in troublesome times, as the mayor also said. We got a quite high level question, and jumping back up to the politics, I guess. Do you, as the CEO of Cinia, do you identify some issues or challenges regarding cybersecurity to the project, or physical issues around the risk? Is it, from your perspective, a good choice to have a cable that's not entering China, Russia, or the United States?
Cybersecurity is, of course, a very interesting issue itself as well. I would say one of the reasons why submarine cables are very popular is that they are, let's say, they are mainly going around legislations. So they are basically only touching the legislations where they are landing. And therefore, let's say, instead of having a connection between Europe and Asia, for instance, going through Belarus, Russia, Mongolia, China, and all the way to Japan. So we are talking about crossing several legislation, which is always a bit of a risk as well. Same actually comes going through, let's say, I would say that the most popular route at the moment between Europe and Asia is Trans-Pacific over US and transatlantic. It's a long route, but it's basically the cheapest route because there's a lot of capacity in Trans-Pacific and transatlantic cables. But it's long and actually going through again an unnecessary legislation, which is US. So when we are talking about this Arctic cable, or when we are talking about, let's say, the southern submarine cable as well. So basically, it's starting in Marseille and ending in Singapore. So it's basically all the way through the submarine route. It is actually in the international waters, or EEZ. It's extraordinary economic zone of some countries. So basically, it's not landing the legislation. So that's one angle of cybersecurity. But to me, actually, cybersecurity has several dimensions and several levels. One of the most important actually is availability, so that the network is available. And therefore, actually, this is bringing new redundancy into the global network. So it's improving cybersecurity in that sense. The other angle or dimension of the cybersecurity, of course, is the data protection, so protecting your content. If you want to be sure, so you better actually encrypt it. If you want to be very sure, you have to encrypt that with a good encryption methods. And unfortunately, I would say that the encryption methods are always, hopefully, a bit ahead of the ones who are trying to break them, and hopefully they keep on going and being ahead. So there is always a way to encrypt and protect your content. And I would say, again, I'm not a hacker, but if I were, so I would say that the hardest place actually to steal somebody's signal is in the bottom of the Nordic Sea or Arctic Sea. Let's say, if you want to steal somebody's signal, so it's better to actually do in a data center where it is basically staying, not moving in a fast speed. So I don't see any specific cybersecurity issue in the Arctic cable itself or in any submarine cable. So there's a lot of terrestrial cables which are much easier to tap than submarine cables.
Thank you. And since I have brought you to the table again, can you say something about the changing conditions with the environment and the ice, how it will affect the cable?
No, okay. Let's say the biggest threat or two biggest threats for submarine cables are actually anchoring of ships, and the second one is seismic movements in the seabed. There isn't any seismic activity in the Arctic Sea, so that's good. And there, unfortunately, isn't too much of an vessel traffic as well, particularly during the winter period when it's ice covered. So the ice is actually protecting mainly the cable, not actually making any specific threat.
Thank you. And by that, I see that our time schedule is closing up, and I'm supposed to sum up all of this vast amount of information that we have received today. I've tried to make some notes during the speeches. So, in sum, since not all of us has been here the whole day, I can say that we opened the scene with Mrs. HAUKLAND giving some perspectives of the possibilities and regional benefits here in Finnmark, as well as giving political support for the project. Thereafter, we heard Cinia talking about the project and the importance of it and how it will proceed. In addition, Bredbåndsfylket told us about how this can give regional effects and why they believe in this project and why they have invested in it. We have had valuable inputs from Invest in Norway, which is more than willing to make great things happen around this region and is willing to step up and help us. We have heard Minister HARAKKA saying that this project is very valuable and a high priority on the Finnish politics on a national level. And also from the same Norwegian side, we heard State Secretary ROBERTSEN saying that the project is very well politically anchored and that they look forward to the continuation of it from a private side. Thereafter, we heard our local mayor, Paul Gabrielsen, giving the project a warm welcome, promising support and focus upon the benefits of living in our region, and also that they will try to, we could say we actually, will try to ensure that the international players are facilitated and hosted in a nice way. From the county, we heard KARIN ERIKSEN saying that the county is very pleased to see this project and that they're willing to help us and do what they can, and also ensure that it's anchored on a political level regionally, both in Finland and in Russia as well. That being said, this means that we have done the political work quite well, and I hope that more people understand the perspectives and the possibilities around the project, especially on the political side. And when we ended the whole thing, as Kjartan said, he had the last watch, but I think it's helped us a lot to bring down the project to a local level and what does it mean for our region by his specific knowledge about investing in data centers and what the data centers actually look for and also how they think. So basically we had all kinds of things brought into the project, and I hope that the audience learned a lot today and that we can continue to develop the project in a tremendous speed because we need some bright visions for the future during the demanding times. Thank you for your time. And the next time we'll ensure that we bring all relevant stakeholders to the table, which has been asked for in the project. And thank you for the audience who has asked a lot of questions, and I'm sorry for not being able to answer all of them. But we'll try to make a summary as fast as possible and see if we're able to answer more of these questions in this summary. As a last commercial thing, I hope to see a lot of you during our local innovation festival called ICE. So please look at icekirkenes.com and see you again in a couple of weeks here in Kirkenes. Goodbye.